of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass.
A guy like Kyler Murray, great athlete, yes. We talked about it before, great athlete, got a lot of talent. Because of his size, I just see that being something that hurts him inside the NFL.
Then Davis Allens.
It's so much harder to be successful in the NFL, but is it beneficial for you in the long run?
Every Saturday morning on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Welcome to the boat! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Summer's here, and it's time for a Luau Bash Bike Night at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Thursday night, come out for music from Nana Fly, free drinks from Harley's Angels, food from Dragon Express Catering, and prizes for the best Hawaiian-style shirts. Saturday noon till 3, come out for the Bikini Bike Wash. Let the Harley's Angels do the dirty work while you enjoy complimentary drinks, burgers, and dogs hot off the grill. For all event details, check out Harley-Davidson of Pensacola on Facebook.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K on this Thursday. It is June 6th. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me, as always, Coach K, and we've got a very big show coming up today. Joining us in about 14 minutes from now, former Denver Bronco coach, former Chicago Bear coach. You can see him on ESPN. He's been on ESPN as an analyst before. John Fox will be joining us on today's show. So a big special guest joining us here on Talk Football today. Again, John Fox will be joining us coming up 12:15, so you definitely want to stick around for that. But if for whatever reason you've got to go back into work, or maybe you've got to go in somewhere and you happen to miss it, we'll definitely be posting that up on our podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those typical podcast sites. You can find it. It's Talk Football, so you'll be able to find that there a little later on this afternoon once the show is over. Coach, let's just go ahead and dive into some content and some headlines from around the world of football here on the show. As we a couple of weeks ago, we had a situation involving Steele, the former Florida Gator player who was a defensive back, and Chris Steele is of course who I'm talking about, and he had originally signed with Florida. He was the number 95 overall ranked player in the ESPN 300. Coach, the situation with Jalen Jones happened. He kind of came out and said, yeah, I had asked the coaching staff if they could maybe move me to a different dorm room. They said no. And because of that and several other reasons, he announced he was going to be transferring and leaving the Florida program. It was announced that he had committed to Oregon after entering the transfer portal. Now, Coach, it looks like he is pulling a Brew McCoy and saying, no, not Oregon. I'm actually going to be going to USC now. So he has now once again changed his mind. So, Coach, this is something that, aside from the fact of this is just another example of the transfer portal being out of control in college football, this is also something that a lot of people were kind of looking down and chastising Dan Mullen with the way that he and his coaching staff handled the situation with Chris Steele. Now we're seeing maybe with this move that maybe it's not necessarily Dan Mullen as much as it actually was Chris Steele.
Well, I don't think there's any question, and we've talked about this transfer window and, all the problems that it could create. This is just a good example. It's unfortunate, but that's what we're living with right now until they make some changes, if they do make some changes.
No, Coach, they definitely need to make some changes. This is it's getting ridiculous inside college football, and they need to do something before this gets out of hand and starts messing up the this entire sport in general. Coach Bill Snyder, kind of along the lines of Rob Gronkowski, we talked about Gronk on Monday, saying that he said he's retired for good. He doesn't plan on coming back. Coach, now Bill Snyder's kind of taking a look at this and saying the same thing, and this is a situation where Bill Snyder has retired but come back before, but now at the age he's at, Bill Snyder says, look, guys, I'm having fun being retired. There's no plans for me to kind of get back into the coaching game. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. No, he's always going to have love for Kansas State. That was the school that he spent his career at, but he's not getting back into the coaching profession anytime soon. And Coach, I don't think anybody was really expecting him to. Maybe one or two people out there, but for the most part, I think people kind of have figured he was gone for good.
Well, that's to be expected. But my gosh, he's done a great job there. He's the only guy who's done a great job there. And there are a lot of people. You're right. There are a lot of people that would like to get him back there. And if he went back, he would probably resurrect that program again. It's just the way he is. He's a heck of a coach, and always has been good with the X's and O's, personnel, evaluation, every phase of the game. I think he's just a wonderful guy. A tribute to the coaching profession. Love to see him in it. I'm as well. I'd love to see him get back in it myself, but I don't think he will.
All right, Coach, I want to transition now to the NFL because Sports Illustrated has this article that I find very interesting, and I kind of wanted to ask you about this because we've talked about this team several times. It's obviously the New England Patriots. You look at them in this offseason, Coach, they're used to a couple of assistants leaving, whether they're going down to the college level to maybe take a step up and be an offensive coordinator, go from being a position coach with the Patriots to being an offensive coordinator at like an Alabama or something like that, or they go like Matt Patricia has done or Coach Flores has done and go take another head coaching job inside the NFL. They're used to losing assistant coaches, but Coach, it seems like this past offseason it's been a little bit more for the New England Patriots than what they're used to as far as the coaching change. Obviously, they've got Bill Belichick, they've got Tom Brady, they've got the quality leaders there in place that everybody knows about when it comes to the New England Patriots. But, Coach, how does a team like the Patriots go about handling these changes and still there's no drop-off? There's no drop-off. It's basically just, plug and place. It doesn't matter. A coach can leave. They'll plug another coach in. And case in point, Bill Belichick is, while he's probably going to be handling majority of the defensive responsibilities, he's handling the he's handing the defensive coordinator job over to Jared Mayo. He played 8 seasons for New England, but he's not worn a headset. So Bill Belichick's probably going to be the puppet master for him there, if you will, directing him on where to go. But, Coach, how does a team like New England have these coaching changes year after year, but yet there's no drop off with this team. They're consistent with everything they do.
The same way they have other areas of turnover in their organization, players as well as coaches, as well as administrative people, others who touch the program. Bill Belichick just has that type program in place, that type organization, that type discipline within the organization. And then to take it a step further, if you really break it down, look what they did 2 years ago when they they offered a heck of a job. I don't know how much they're paying offensive coordinator to stay there, but he had the cold job, and at the last minute turned it down and stayed with New England. If he stays there along with Brady, that handles the offense. And then Belichick will handle the defense, and you hit it right on the head. He'll put somebody there in name as a defensive coordinator, and he will handle, actually, I think, the game planning and all the strategic moves that they make defensively. He'll handle. So it's a great organization, well disciplined, and accounting for in the future things like this to happen. Nothing's going to sneak up on if you're a well-oiled machine, whether it's business, politics, whatever. Nothing's going to slip up on you. You've thought it through, and you know how you're going to handle it. And that's the same way he attacks every ball game. Nothing surprises them in a football game. They've handled all those situations. They know how they're going to react. So anyway, it's just a part of the best way I can answer your question is it's a part of the Bill Belichick phenomena, really, an organization.
All right, Coach, let's stay inside the NFL now, because we were talking earlier in the week about preseason and the changes that could possibly come into that, especially after Roger Goodell came out and said that NFL preseason games aren't actually – they're not necessary. We don't need 4 of them inside the NFL. And, Coach, one of the ways that we talked about maybe changing up the preseason, making it a little bit more interesting and bringing a little bit more intrigue into it was possibly playing them in different locations that didn't have an NFL team that would bring a little bit more attention, because it would give them an opportunity to see NFL football in a way that, they don't get an opportunity to on a normal basis. And, Coach, it looks like they're starting to kind of turn in that direction as they announced that the Oakland Raiders, or maybe at this time the Las Vegas Raiders once they play, and the Green Bay Packers will be playing a preseason game in Winnipeg.
Yeah, I saw that not long ago, and I'm familiar with the Canadian scene up there, and I think that's a good move. Winnipeg is centrally located just above the border up there. It's in Manitoba, and a good football town. They fill the stadium there for their Canadian League team, and I'm sure they will for this game. I think it's a good move. I think there's some better stadiums to play in, quite frankly. Edmonton has a beautiful stadium there. And, there's some other places. Calgary has a nice stadium. But there are a number of reasons. I'm sure they chose Winnipeg, one of which I'm sure was their interest in the game.
All right, Coach, and one last thing here before we head to break and get ready for John Fox. The Denver Broncos yesterday were scheduled to have their last day of minicamp workouts, but Coach, instead, when the team showed up, the practice fields were closed, and they were told and informed that they were not going to be practicing. As a matter of fact, head coach Vic Fangio had actually planned a fun day for his team, including a home run derby, remote control car races, a basketball shootout, a water balloon toss, shaved Italian ice station, golf chipping contest, and a dunk tank. And rumor has it that John Elway was actually participating inside the dunk tank for this little day. Coach, you hear a team doing something like this. Is this something that's actually pretty common inside the NFL for, maybe a last day of a mini camp, a coach to do something like this as kind of a morale type building exercise, or a locker room building type exercise?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's trying to build, get that camaraderie that you want among your players and staff if you can. But you got to be careful with that. You got to really really be careful because you don't want to look like a phony. I mean, the first thing players will think is, he's trying to pull the wool over my eyes, and he's just really a phony. This just doesn't mean anything. If it's done properly, I think you can get their attention with it. But again, I think you have to be very, very careful with it.
All right, Coach. Well, on that note, we are going to take our first time out of the show. When we come back, John Fox will be joining us right here on Talk Football with Coach K, coming up next on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hey, big guy, you tired of the runaround? You know, going from store to store, never finding your size? Here's a tip. Head to DXL. They are the one-stop shop for men's big and tall clothing, period. And at DXL, you don't have to be all hoity-toity to have a personal stylist. Their fit experts will help you find great styles in your size. It couldn't be easier. So head to DXL.com and check out a store near you. DXL Big and Tall. Built for you at DXL.com.
When it comes to the playoffs, coverage is everything. The same applies to the wireless game. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get full nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks, but for up to 50% less than those big carriers charge, for the exact same high-speed networks. It's like getting full-court coverage at half-court prices. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data for just $45 a month, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And Coach, at this point in time, we're joined by a very special guest here on the studio line, so I will turn it over to you for the introduction.
Well, we certainly are, and I appreciate it greatly. Coach John Fox, as all of you know, been around for a few days, John, and
just a few.
But Coach, obviously, 3 different teams: Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos, and the Chicago Bears. Only 6 coaches have gone to the Super Bowl twice with two different teams, taking two different teams to the Super Bowl. That's Coach Fox and his winning record overall, regular season and postseason. Just an outstanding job he's always done, always been well thought of. I can tell you that, not only as a coach with a great deal of respect, but also, more importantly, as a person. And it's interesting to me that he takes Denver to the Super Bowl, and the next year that team goes back to the Super Bowl. And the Chicago Bears, he came in every place he's been. John, I think it's well known that you were brought in to rebuild programs that were down, and certainly Chicago was down, and you did a heck of a job there. And they come back the year after you leave, and they've got a heck of a good football team, much better record. But you've done the job. You've turned everyone around and done a heck of a job. And again, we're all happy to have you on and look forward to you speaking to us.
Well, Coach K, when I heard your voice the other night to invite me on your show, I got to tell you, I was excited. So I've got great respect for you and all you accomplished in coaching, and it's an honor for me to be on the show today.
Well, let me get started here. I've got a few questions. And I think I'm not going to put you on the spot now. You can bet on that. But they're really quite easy, I think. But you've been under some very, very interesting people. As I look at your background, your coaching history, of course, we can talk about a number of them. But I'd like to start with Chuck Noll. Very, very interesting guy. I don't think anybody really got to know Chuck Noll. He was a very private person. I had lunch with him one day at a coaches meeting, and excuse me, and we started talking about fishing, and it was amazing the scientific approach that he took and game planning he did to go fishing, just bass fishing.
Oh, yeah.
He had the
what?
pH meters and everything with him in the boat, and it was amazing.
Well, I think, probably, and again, you're right, Coach, that, I think all of us, in the amount of success that we're blessed to have is, a product of the people that, helped raise us. People say you are what you eat. And in coaching, as well as anybody, you are who you've been around. And, I was very blessed. That was my first NFL job, 1989. I got a chance to spend Chuck's, as a defensive backfield coach on Chuck's staff for the 89, 90, 91 season, his last 3 years of coaching in the NFL. And he was a tremendous teacher, and he just attacked life. I mean, if he had met an airplane pilot at a party, he would have known more about piloting by the next time he saw that pilot again at a party. He was that consumed with gaining knowledge in all aspects. I mean, he was a chef. He was a connoisseur of wines. He did have his pilot's license. He owned 65-foot Grand Banks at the time. In those days, to navigate those long before GPS, and made it simple. It took quite a mind to be able to handle that kind of thing. And but just a tremendous teacher, and I was very blessed to be about him and or around him, and just an amazing guy. I mean, he kind of taught me the importance of reading on me, and he didn't like the spotlight. You never saw him on commercials or on billboards or, at that time and place. He was the only guy to have accumulated 4 Super Bowl trophies.
You're exactly right, and just absolutely amazing guy. Also, talk for a minute about Al Davis. You were around Al on a couple of different trips, so another very interesting guy that is history, NFL history for sure.
Well, not too many people in NFL history have been an assistant coach, started in college, being an assistant coach in the NFL, and then become the commissioner of a competitive league, and then ultimately own an NFL franchise. So I think just that resume says a lot about his acumen for football and the things he accomplished, and what tremendous football man he was in all aspects. Whether it was in personnel, which I think he prided himself most in, even over the coaching element, but that combined knowledge, again, the two men we're talking about are, both, got, the Hall of Fame jackets. So, I think both those are tremendous football people for sure.
Yeah, Al, you're right. How he came to virtually own the Raiders is another story. That's a whole different story. And
exactly.
I'll tell you, I've been to dinner with Wayne Valley. The poor guy who lost him. But anyway,
right.
Interesting story there. Let me bring you up to date. I need to get your opinion on some things that are going on now, if you don't mind. And if there's anything you don't want to answer, I understand that. Don't do it.
No.
But
no worries.
The NFL, there's a lot of talk now about. I guess Goodell is talking about the 4 preseason games are too many, and reducing that by 2. Now, you can bet they're not going to just let those 2 disappear into thin air. They're going to do something with them. They're either going to replace them as regular season games or do something with them. And then there's non-intended product that's going to come out of 2 preseason games as opposed to 4. But anyway, your thoughts on that one in particular?
Well, I think that's been ballied around a little bit. I think a lot of it comes from the fans. And I don't know that a lot of your listeners out there understand this, but every NFL owner, all 32 franchise owners, basically get 10 home games. They have a profit-sharing formula that the teams work around when it's a road trip that doesn't fluctuate much for the visiting opponent. So the bulk of owners get a lot of their money from the 10 home games. The issue the fans have is 2 of those home games of the 10 are in the preseason, which you can understand that the starters don't play 100% of the game. The starters are relegated to just part of the games, and particularly the 4th one. Now, the league doesn't like talking about that much, but that's the issue, and people are complaining about that. Season ticket sales are real important in an NFL budget. The issue I have is that ultimately that's going to be the carrot for both the players and the owners, is a way to boost salaries and to entice the players to maybe move through those games to the regular season instead of the preseason. That's really kind of where it stems from and why it's an issue. The problem I have with, the 18 regular season games, and again, with 100% participation, is, again, it's a rough game. It's a, combative game. And, there's risk involved, heading into the playoffs, which are, again, for the teams that earn a spot in those playoffs, is even more games in a calendar year. So I get nervous that, with the carrot, getting pretty big as far as financially, and increasing the salary cap, increasing, the revenues, which increases the salary cap, that might be enticing for the players, but ultimately I don't think it's good for the game.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a tough thing to reconcile on both sides because the players certainly don't want to play those 2 additional regular season games. I'm sure their demands on salary will be considerable, but still they don't want to play them for obvious reasons, injury and so on. And then the owners aren't going to just lose 2 ball games. It's just it's too much revenue. So I'm sure that's why he's trying to address this early on, a year and a half before the next CBA negotiations.
Exactly.
Trying to meet it head on and get something done. They go, well, they got plenty of time. It doesn't become a last-minute stumbling block. That's going to be interesting to see how that turns out for sure. What do you think about John? What do you think about the direction of pro football, and by that I mean in particular offenses? There's not too much new in football. People talk about. I remember when they talked about the West Coast offense and the biddly boop offense and baloney. There's not a whole heck of a lot new in football, but there is a tendency to offensive football right now to be a little different than it has been in the past. And from a defensive standpoint, how do you counter that with personnel and schematically with the X's and O's?
Well, I think, again, it's obviously the game has changed a lot in the last 20 years. I coached a young man, Steve Young, that I actually worked with on television with ESPN, and just watching, from a quarterback's eyes and perspective, whether you're talking about guys, Steve Young's era or Troy Aikman, these are guys that I knew, coached against, and had relationships with. With the protection of the quarterback, the rules changes. The protection of the receivers, the rule changes, and opening up the middle of the field and attacking the middle of the field. The rules of the game have changed such that encourage the passing game. With a bunch of the different rules changes. So it's no mystery why offenses are, more apt to throw the ball more than they did 20 years ago, that involved the run game. But on the other hand, this game's still about blocking and tackling. And I think a lot more success with teams is in the fronts, whether it's the defensive front or the offensive front, that I think, pretty much supports kind of what I'm saying. And really the top offenses a year ago spent more time in less wide receiver sets, what I call 12 and 21 personnel, and 22 personnel. Really, the success, more successful offensive teams spent more time in those personnel groups than they did in the 3 wides, 1 tight end, 1 back sets that I call 11 personnel. So I'm not sure, the trend is definitely a little bit more passing because of the rule changes. It's still riskier than the run game, as far as, keeping the football. But I think there might be a trend to go back a little bit. And if you look at the final score of the Super Bowl, I think that you'll see defenses will begin to catch up. And I think you're going to see a little bit more of a throttle back maybe on some of those wide open sets and wide open passing games moving forward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think New England reverted back to 1960 football, basically.
Yep.
I think
don't have to look too far, Coach, to kind of model yourself after an organization other than New England for the amount of success they've had in modern-day football.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I think for that ball game, they just used my gosh almighty, they've got the 2 backs with the fullback and a tight end and 2 receivers and their lead blocking, their wham blocking, their it's just like old 1960s football, and then some play action pass on top of that, and shut them down defensively, keep the ball, and they just dominated the football game. And they also laid out, as you well know, in the NFL, there's so many followers in the NFL. They laid out a blueprint for others to follow.
Yep.
As we get ready.
No doubt. You don't see very many two-back sets anymore. And for defenses, really forever, one-back sets have been one gap for the defense. So it's a little bit easier to figure out the run game. It's not as complex as it can be with a lead back. So I agree with you. I think you're going to see a little bit more, I don't know, divulging or diverting back to a little bit more two-back sets.
Right. Listen, Coach, can I impose on you to stay on? We've got to take a break here for just a couple of minutes. Can I get you to stay on?
Yes, you can, Coach.
All right. We'll jump off for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be back.
All right.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking to build a deck? Think Trex is out of your price range? Well, now you should take a second look at the #1 name in outdoor living. Because the latest deck from Trex is engineered for the DIYer and priced to put the pressure on treated lumber. Plus, it comes with a 25-year fade and stain warranty. And that's something wood can't promise. Visit the Home Depot to see and feel the new decking color for yourself. Trex Enhanced Naturals in Coastal Bluff.
Lawn lovers, run with us on the John Deere Z500 Series Z-Track mower. Built to mow better, faster with an Excel Deep mower deck. Because whether you're up against the clock or a busy day, this zero turn gets it done in almost no time at all. Nothing runs like a Deere. Run with us. Test drive a Z500 Series Z-Track mower at your John Deere dealer during the Take Your Turn sales event.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Again, to talk football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And Coach, turning it back over to you now and let you resume the interview with Coach Fox.
All right. Coach, sorry to hold you up, and I appreciate you staying on there for a couple of minutes.
My pleasure.
Listen, let me jump to something here and get your opinion on it. I know you guys went over extensively on on ESPN. But what are your thoughts about the draft this year? Who do you think, and of course we know it'll be 2 years or 3 years before we know the final outcome of the draft, but just on the surface. Other than the fact that we know everybody's a winner after the draft, but other than that, who do you think fared well with the draft this year?
Well, I think I think a lot, and particularly by the draft experts, is tied to the quarterback, and there's no doubt that's an incredibly important position as you look around the league, and particularly the teams that have success typically have a high-performing quarterback. I still think, my philosophy was always you better get a 10-year starter with your first-round pick. And I was blessed to be able to be a head coach for 16 years, really at 3 different organizations, which makes it a little bit tougher because you're starting over every one of those moves as far as building your culture. But I do think it is important, but I don't think it's as important as getting somebody that starts for 10 years. And whether that's a quarterback or a left tackle or a multi-year Pro Bowl starting receiver, those are, you just got to hit on those draft picks because that's really the lifeblood of pro football. You can't afford to be missing on those. I think it's always curious, and it's curious for the fans to see how these top pick quarterbacks go. So, I really do like Arizona's pick. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think, there's no doubt he's an incredible athlete, kind of Michael Vick-like as far as his athleticism, but, I really do, think he throws the ball with touch and accuracy, which, is, the other dimension that I think you need to have, and particularly on third down in the National Football League. I think, and I don't just look at the draft. I just look at, the retooling and reloading of a team in the off season. Kind of like what Buffalo's done. I think they had a very, very good defense, top 5 defense a year ago, and they actually gave their offensive weapons, and I think it starts up front. I think they retooled the offensive line. The flip side of that, I get a little bit nervous about some of the people that the Rams lost, both in the offensive and defensive lines. And, that's where all the action starts, and I put a lot of stock in that. Cleveland's definitely, with all the picks they've had over the last 6 years, they've actually acquired a lot of good talent. A team that got hurt a little bit a year ago, I think, at least in their flip of the records, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I think still have a talented team. They made a change at quarterback. And again, they've, helped their offensive line, which I think is what was important if you're going to run the football. But just, teams that kind of reel off, I think, Pittsburgh Steelers were a disappointing team a year ago. I think they're better than the record was a year ago. I look for them to have a little bit of a bounce back on their record this next year.
Right. Well, let me flip on you here just a minute. Of course, I think too. Before we leave that subject, I think you have to look at the whole off season. It all fits together: free agency and the draft, and how much you improve your football team. And just on paper, it looks like the Raiders. My gosh, you get two possible All-Pros on that left side of that offensive line off the street.
Right.
And then you have a pretty good draft to go along with it, and they've got some people that can play. Now, whether they can handle them all in that locker room out there, they got the receiver, they got the linebacker Burford from Cincinnati, and I mean they've got some divas on there, so you got to be able to handle the locker room, that's for sure. But if they can, they've certainly added quite a bit of football talent to their team. So,
well, no doubt. I think they were close to an expansion team a year ago. With, a lot of the trades and some of the personnel that they played with for a 16-game regular season schedule. So, I definitely think they've improved their talent for sure.
Right. Well, I know you keep up with the college ball too. I was unaware you were from San Diego. I meant to mention that. Were you a surfer coach out there?
Oh, yeah.
Where are you now?
Yeah, I was a son of a Navy SEAL who grew up in Virginia Beach, which is where I first took up surfing up there on the East Coast. In 1970, my dad got a promotion, and we went out to. He worked at Bud's in Coronado there in San Diego. So right before high school, we moved out to San Diego, and I went to high school, college, and young adult life in Southern California.
Right, and you're settled now. You're in the Charlotte area. You still keep your home there?
Yeah. We kept the house there, and down to two. I have a place down here in Marco Island, Florida, which is my residence now. And we split time between Charlotte and Marco Island.
That's great. Well, let me switch here for a minute. We do a lot of pro football, and we also do college, a lot of college football. I'm sure you keep up with it.
Yep.
What do you think about I really think it may be unusual in college football. Somebody's always going to have a better story. But I think it's unusual how many good or outstanding, not just good, but outstanding quarterbacks they have right around the SEC, and include Clemson, Alabama, Georgia. It's amazing. This kid at Clemson may be once in a lifetime quarterback. Are you keeping up with the quarterbacks there?
Yeah, I think there's no question. Dabo's a personal friend. In fact, I was coaching in Carolina there with the Panthers. Actually, when he first got named the interim, and then when the season was complete, when he first became the official head coach. And there's probably Nick Saban's a personal friend, the guy that I've known a long time, and the SEC I think is filled with good coaches. But I think the job both of those fellows, and I'm talking about Nick and Dabo, both have done have been incredible. I will say, Coach, that a long time ago, in fact, it was Chuck Noll that explained this game's only fun when you win. So a lot of these great athletes that are committing to some of these programs are, and quarterback, obviously, if you're one of them, are wanting to go somewhere where they can win. And I think those two guys, not knocking any others, a lot of great coaches in college football, in high school football for that matter, and just in coaching in general. But I think these young guys today, it's the rich get richer, I say. You're not getting the last pick in the draft. You're getting the best players in the country, and when you get that thing rolling in college football.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess the biggest difference is in college, the more you win, the better athletes you attract to your program. And in pro football, the more you win, the lower your draft pick is. So, so it is. What do you see in the just a prediction on your part? College football this year. What do you see as being the top 4 or 5 or 6 teams in the country?
Wow, I think the two I think we mentioned. I think it's hard to go much past Clemson and Alabama. I think I'll be curious to see how Ohio State, Michigan sort that out in that conference. Out west, for the life of me, I can't figure out why they've struggled here of late. The Pac-12, and I'm talking about on a national stage. That's just a matter of time. I think they're going through a little bit of a transition, having grown up out that way for at least my college career. I know they have a lot of remarkable athletes. So how they actually fare. I think Texas, has made some strides. I think that guy's done a good job, and that area, that high school football is as good as there is in America as far as the state of Texas in high school programs from there. So I can't disregard any of the Texas schools, and obviously Florida, where I know you guys reside, and I do half the year as well. Between Florida, Florida State, I think Miami's kind of making a little bit of a push, but I know there's great high school football in those areas. So, I think that'd be I guess I went through the top 20, but with the two, I think I would have a hard time betting against would be Alabama and Clemson.
Okay, I would certainly agree with that. Let me ask you a question. We're not going to keep you much longer, but I think it's important because people here don't really get that much from the West Coast teams out there. Now, the more I hear from people, both pro people and college people, is this quarterback at Oregon is the real deal. And Oregon's a good football team, should be considered a playoff contender. How do you see their program out there and their quarterback in particular?
Well, I think kind of what's happening is the state of California, the state of Texas, the state of Florida. And I'm not disrespecting the other states, but just because of the size and the weather, and the amount of popularity of football in those three states, they're hard to beat as far as the talent pool. I think Oregon has been a program that's done a great job over the last 15, 20 years because they've been able to get kids out of Southern California, Northern California, or out of the state of California. Eugene's a great place. They've got a lot of money there with the Nike affiliation. So they're able to recruit a lot of good talent out of the state of California, and they've been able to steal from UCLA and USC. So that's been something I know USC and UCLA, or USC in particular, since Pete Carroll left. I know they're trying to win that back, but right now I think Oregon's kind of winning those battles.
Right. Well, listen, Coach, I can't thank you enough for being on with us today. I really appreciate it, and I would like to maybe get your consent to come back on maybe during football season, if we could give you a call and get you back on.
I'd love to do that, Coach Kate. It's great to catch up, and I'm glad you reached out to me and that we were able to get this organized. So I'd be more than happy to do it again.
I appreciate it very much, and thank you. Thank you again.
You guys have a great rest of your day.
All right, that is former NFL head coach John Fox joining us here on Talk Football with Coach K. We'll take our final time out of the show. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Coming up next right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Nothing's worse than heat-trapping sheets that make it impossible to get to sleep. That's why you need Sheets. Sheets breathe 10 times better than traditional cotton sheets to keep you cool. They wick away moisture 3 times more than traditional cotton sheets to keep you dry, ensuring a deeper, more restorative night's sleep. Visit trysheets.com/Stephen A to get 25% off your purchase plus shipping, a bonus pair of pillowcases, and a 30-night risk-free guarantee. That's TrySheets.com/Stephen A.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. If you're tailgating before the game, don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
Into Talk Football with Coach K as we are wrapping things up here on this rainy Thursday in Pensacola. Thank you so much for tuning in to ESPN Pensacola 94.5. We're also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Coach, great to have John Fox on there with us on today's show, and just nice to hear his side of different stories going on in the world of football right now, especially with the preseason comments that Roger Goodell made earlier this week.
Yeah, he's well aware that that's going to be a logjam there. I think he agrees that they're trying to get this out of the way now, at least address a major problem that they're going to have with the next CBA negotiation.
And we'll just have to see how it all plays out, Coach. It's one of those things that it really could go either way. This is something that could be another 5 years before we ever see any kind of change happen to it. But you never know. It could be something that we wake up tomorrow morning and we've got a breaking news alert from ESPN about how they're deciding to make a change on it starting next season. So it's just, again, one of those things we've got to wait and see how it plays out. All right, Coach, some other news around the league. Looks like Eli Manning not being driven by the presence of a younger quarterback behind him that could possibly putting pressure on him. Eli Manning's main focus for this upcoming season for the Giants is to win championships.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. Everybody that's suiting up, that should be their aim for the year, their goal. But it's going to be difficult to win a championship. But nothing's out of the question. Let me tell you, nothing is out of the question in the National Football League. So more power to him, and I think Eli will have a good year. I really do. And it'd be a good learning situation for Jones. So I think that's going to work out fine at New York.
All right, Coach, and it looks like San Francisco investing some money and their time into helping keep quarterback Garoppolo upright and clean inside the pocket. They signed left tackle Joe Staley to a 2-year contract extension with the team. This is going to keep him around through the 2021 season.
A good move, good move. You got to have that left tackle out there, and he's been a good one. Plus, he's got all that experience. You realize how much it would take, what it would take to get a player that experienced at playing the left tackle position with all he's going to see out there. Think about it. I mean, it's like grabbing somebody off the street and making a math genius out of them. You just can't do it very easily. So they're wise. Bottom line, they're wise to get him there, keep him there for quite a while, as long as they can.
All right, Coach, and let's continue to take a look at some news from around the NFL league. And, Coach, we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, but for the people that may not have been tuning in, a trend now is kind of starting to see, and I think maybe the AAF might have started this trend off because lots of people are looking at one particular position on the field, and they're wondering if it's actually necessary. And obviously, Coach, that is the kicker. And again, I contribute this to the AAF and the success they had with placing the ball on the 25-yard line with no kickoffs, having no extra points, just going for a 2-point conversion if the team elected to do that. If they didn't, then they would just take the 7 points. Coach, this is a trend that could very well be something that we see in the NFL, especially with the kicking woes we've seen in the NFL with Cody Parkey and others the last few seasons. Coach, what is the likelihood? I know we talked about this and how it could actually go down and things the NFL could do. Coach, what is the likelihood we see this happen, I'll say, within the next 3 seasons inside the NFL?
Great question. I wish we could have had John on a little longer. Would have loved to have asked him this question too, put him in the middle. But I don't see it happening right away. It's going to be a major change. But I agree with it. In fact, I had years ago suggested to the World League that they do away with the kicker. They thought I was crazy, and I explained it. And then they asked me to explain it again to more people, which I did. And the bottom line is they were interested. And it is interesting, and it makes sense. So you could do away with the kicker and improve the interest in the game. That's my opinion. Yeah.
All right, Coach, and real quick, we've got just about another 2 minutes here on the show. You take a look at the situation that's going on with Arizona right now. They draft Kyler Murray. Coach, do you see this being a situation where they could switch it up, maybe go to more of an air raid style offense? You've got a guy like Kyler Murray. You bring in Cliff Kingsbury. There's been a couple of Arizona Cardinals players allude to the fact that that may be the direction their offense is going. If so, Coach, is that a right move for them?
Well, great question, I tell you. They're definitely going to do that. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Kingsbury's already said that's what they're going to do, and that's why they drafted the quarterback where they did. They need a guy with his skills, supposedly, to run this air raid offense. Now, there have been all types of, if you can think back to all the different names on offenses, Spurrier took the fun and gun to the NFL. It fizzled. They took the run and shoot to the NFL. That fizzled.
The
Wildcat finally fizzled. Listen, I don't know. This may be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I don't see it.
All right, that's all the time we have for on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Talk Football with Coach K. Special thank you to Coach John Fox for joining us on today's show. For Coach K, I'm Jordan Glass. You guys have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on ESPN Pensacola 945.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brillante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.